Hey guys, today we're going to show you how we install our Polaris AXYS tunnel tie kits, and I want to talk about it a little bit. We designed this ourselves, and we got our own exclusive lightweight extrusion made just for this purpose. Today we're going to cut 6 inches out of the back of this one, and it goes with our bumper kits as well that we made, and you can actually cut your tunnel at any length you want and put your own bumper or whatever you want to do. It's not exclusive to our own product, but we also have added extra cooling in here, so it's great for if you have a turbocharge application or something, or even if you're riding in hard packed snow conditions all the time and the stock cooling system can't keep up. You can also just put this in there. Your snow flap brace can go back on. You can put your stock snow flap on, your taillight on with this after. And yeah, we're really proud, and we got really good feedback. Everyone's getting way cooler temps in their engines, and so let's go ahead and get started on this.
So now I am going to remove the snow flap, and to stop the rivets from spinning, I'm going to put a vice grip on the back side of the rivet so it doesn't melt through. These are not the factory rivets. Somebody has replaced these with bigger ones. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack the rad cap to relieve the pressure that's built up in the system. Relieve it and put it back on tight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill a 3/8 hole in the back of the cooler in the material that's not going to be reused, and this will speed up a lot of time and mess in your belly pans. And having a drain pan ready. Now I'm going to go and crack the rad cap. I'm going to trim this brake light wire guard about a 1/2 inch past my cut mark, just to stay out of the way, and so when the tail light goes down, it has room. Is I'm going to mark a line about 1/2 inch up from my cut, and this is going to leave me room to weld around, and it's going to be right on the edge of the inside of the corner of the cooler. I use calipers, you could use whatever you like. Then I'm going to do a line about 3/8 away from the inside line of the cooler, and I use the channel just as a reference so both sides are the same. Now I'm going to drill a pilot hole. And I'm going to open this hole up. And I'm going to go till it's about 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to trim an extra 1/4 inch off of here for clearance of weld, so I'm just going to mark it using my calipers. And I'm going to trim straight in this way against the side of the cooler till I hit my circle. I am going to scribe 2 lines 5/8 of an inch in as my stop of where I want my die grinder bit to go, just to make it nice and neat. In this cutaway here, there should be no paint. There should be lots of room for you to get your TIG in there. On this edge here, you should be butted up tight against the cooler with cooler material only, not any extra layers of material stuck in there. On this corner here, you want to kind of sand it because there's a layer of material right there, and you want to come in and go around it. So make sure it's nice and clean in there and it doesn't affect you at all. Now that the tunnel's all cut in the back, I got it tilted so all the coolant on all the shavings are going to want to run out the back. I'll take compressed air in a rag and I'll go up to the coolant bottle and I'll shoot a bit of air in it. Nothing crazy. Just try to get the rest of it out of there. Then I'll take brake clean and spray it out really good. And repeat about two to three times until it starts running clean. So now that everything is cleaned, it's prepped, underneath it's ready, I'll lay the cooler on top and kind of just eyeball where it's going to go here and look at exactly what rivets I have to take out. So I can see right now that these rivets from underneath will interfere. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grind them flush and I'm going to leave them in there. Okay, now that I've ground these flush on the bottom, I'm going to look at where I should be drilling my rivet holes to hold this into the tunnel that aren't going to interfere with anything. So I'll just butt it up like that, and I can see that I should not be right on top of one of these ones. So I'm going to place one right here, and I'm going to place one right here. Exact doesn't matter as long as it holds and you're not going to interfere with anything. I can also see that these two holes here are going to line up in a good spot and are not going to puncture through the cooler. Depending if it's a 155 or a 162, you really have to pay attention to that because those could actually line up going through this piece right here, and it's not good. So just make sure you don't do that. And now you're ready to put the cooler in. So another little thing I do, a little trick to get this in, just a little bit easier, is I'll go around and I'll round all these sharp edges on this machine piece just to help it slip in a little bit easier. And I want it to fit nice and tight with no gap to the end. And then you're going to look underneath and make sure you're square underneath. You're not going to have any problems there. Everything looks good. So now we're going to go ahead and put these rivets in and anchor it to its home. Rivet in just to hold it, and then that's not so it doesn't move around when I put the rest of them in. These are the short ones I'm using. Then I'll drill the other 3 holes. Then I'll take the blowgun and I'll just kind of give it a little spray. Make sure we get no shavings trapped in behind. Here, and I'm right-handed, so I travel this way, so I'll do a tack here, then I'll just keep traveling this way. So these corners are a little bit tricky to get. And from my experience, I noticed that if you attack right in the corners first and then bridge them together, I find it to be easier. Okay, I finished my welding, so now I'm on the pressure testing procedure. So I got my gauge, I don't go past 20, that's where we like to keep it. I make sure I got my overflow blocked off so it can't escape from there. I come around and I soapy water everything. Making sure, especially in these corners, right here, because they tend to leak and go forward, and in these corners. Anywhere there's a corner, that's especially where they're gonna leak. This thing tests good. Okay, now that the cooler is installed, let's go ahead and put coolant in it. We personally use a vacuum sucker to make sure there's no airlocks in it. But put coolant in it, run it up, make sure it comes all the way up to temp, then refill the coolant jug to its full mark. Back here, when I'm painting this, I orbitaled before I welded it, which made it a lot easier so you're not touching the welds and worrying about any of that. But I usually orbital it, then I heat the whole area up with a heat gun and feather it in with a semi-gloss black. Okay, so now we're gonna start installing the snow flat brace. I'll just come in here and gently clean out these holes. 3/16 stainless rivets. Push these down, drill these ones out. Those two holes will be getting 3/16 long rivets. Push down pretty good. So it's very important that these two holes, these two factory holes, you do not rivet, because that is the new coolant chamber, and if you rivet into that, it's be really bad news. Start putting the taillight bracket back on. Drill the two holes. So, nice simple way, you can either cut this, you could take the tank off, pull it forward, or you could just loop this around with a zip tie, which is what I usually just do. It's nice and simple and quick. Get your taillight back on.
Okay guys, we just ran it up here and heat cycled it and made sure that we have no airlocks in it. The cooler is nice and warm all the way around. I hope you enjoyed our video, and if you have any questions, feel free to call me or Shane at the shop anytime. The number's down below. Click on our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for our next video. We're going to show you how to install the bumper on this thing next.